You slowly open your eyes. There's no sound of your phone buzzing, no smell of freshly brewed coffee, and absolutely no one live streaming the latest flash sale. Instead, you're greeted by the crow of a rooster and the smoky scent of burning straw drifting through the chilly morning air. Blinking in confusion, you take in your surroundings. Faded wooden walls, a low, sagging ceiling, and a dim shaft of sunlight squeezing through a tiny window. Welcome to a rural European village, circa the year 1250. At first, you're convinced you must be dreaming. Maybe this is payback for watching too many medieval fantasy shows until 2 a.m. But the reality sets in as you sit up. Your bed isn't really a bed. It's more like a scratchy pile of straw with a threadbare blanket tossed over it. Next to you, a jumble of family members are snoring away, plus a couple of chickens roosting nearby. Privacy? Here, that's a luxury reserved for royalty. You try to move, but every step makes the ancient wooden floorboards creak like you're walking on a ship in a storm. You inhale, getting a whiff of smoke, old bread, and, somehow, wet earth. There's not a single phone, charger, or even an electrical outlet in sight. The only alarm clock is the sun crawling over the horizon and a persistent rooster determined to win America's Got Talent by sheer volume. Peering out the window, you spot villagers shuffling around in heavy woolen cloaks, their faces half hidden by the mist. Someone, somewhere, is yelling about cows, and a wooden cart creaks along the dirt road. The medieval soundtrack is as real as it gets. You fumble for the bathroom, only to find there isn't one, just a wooden bucket out back. The shower is a cold splash from the well if you're brave enough. Glancing at a battered metal mirror, you barely recognize your own face. Messy hair, sleep-crumpled features, and a look of utter disbelief. And that's when your mom barges in, her apron dusted with flour and determination. You're up, finally. Good, today's a big day. Dress properly, we have something important to discuss. You barely have time to process this before a booming voice, definitely your dad, calls from outside. And don't forget your headscarf. Everyone from the family will be here. You're left sitting there, somewhere between curious and absolutely terrified. Clearly, this isn't just a casual Sunday in suburbia. There's no Wi-Fi, no Uber Eats, and your biggest concern isn't how many likes your latest post gets. It's what bizarre, possibly life-changing event your medieval family has planned for you today. And you just know, deep in your mildly panicking heart, whatever comes next will make online dating in the 21st century look like a walk in Central Park.
You're still blinking away sleep and disbelief when the medieval chaos of morning life explodes around you. Forget peaceful cereal commercials. Here, breakfast is a full-contact sport. Somewhere in the room, your little brother is poking at the embers in the fireplace, setting off a cloud of ash that makes half the family cough and the chickens flutter in protest. Grandma, battle-hardened and swift despite her crooked back, is wrestling a goose with one hand while stirring a bubbling pot of porridge with the other. The cat, fat and clearly in charge, leaps onto the table to try and steal a scrap of hard bread, only to be unceremoniously shooed away with a wooden spoon. Outside the open door, cold mist rolls in from the fields, and your dad can be heard grumbling about the neighbor borrowing your only ox for plowing. There's a shouted negotiation in the street, something about a missing bucket, a borrowed shovel, and a dispute over which cousin actually owns the family's good cloak. You start to realize that in this era, everything, absolutely everything, is public business. If you sneeze, 3 neighbors will know before you finish. As you make your way toward a battered wash basin, today's luxury spa experience, a splash of frigid water from a chipped pitcher, you can't help but notice the total absence of privacy. There are no locked doors, no do not disturb signs, not even a proper bathroom. Someone's always barging in, and any hope of scrolling TikTok or texting friends for moral support has vanished with the 21st century. Your mom, now in full medieval project manager mode, thrusts a linen tunic into your hands. "Hurry up and get dressed," she commands. "Today is important. You need to look decent." She proceeds to fuss over your hair, then ties a lopsided headscarf under your chin. You catch yourself in a dented metal mirror and nearly do a double take. If there was ever a time for a filter, this is it. Breakfast lands with a thud on the table. Slabs of coarse bread, a chunk of what might optimistically be called cheese, and a mug of watery beer. Yes, beer for breakfast. "Don't drink the water," your grandmother croaks, "unless you want a stomach curse." You chew with caution, suddenly grateful for modern dentistry. The cat makes another lunge for the bread. The goose resumes plotting its escape. Through the clamor, you pick up snippets of grown-up conversation. "She's of age now, isn't she? The Carter's boy's grown tall. The Millers have a new barn. Should we send a basket of eggs to the Smiths as a sign?" It dawns on you with the slow creeping horror of realizing your phone battery's at 1% and there's no charger in sight. The important event is a matchmaking operation, medieval style. You try to recall all the dating advice you've ever heard, double texting, eye contact, cute emojis. But here, none of it applies. There's no talking phase, no "are we exclusive" chat, no swiping right on a spark. Your romantic future is being negotiated like a trade deal between rival kingdoms. The extended family begins to arrive. Burly uncles with missing teeth, aunts with suspiciously pointy elbows, wide-eyed cousins of all ages, and at least 2 people who may or may not actually be related to you. Everyone files into the cramped cottage, crowding around the table with loud greetings and even louder opinions. One particularly opinionated aunt pinches your cheek with the force of a medieval torture device. "So grown up already, eh? Soon to be wed, eh?" Another cousin winks and offers unsolicited advice about how to spot a good set of teeth in a future spouse. Someone else, possibly the local baker, leans in and whispers, "If you want to get out of this, pretend to be terribly unlucky at churning butter." You realize quickly that dating here isn't just a private affair. It's an Olympic team sport, with every member of your clan acting as coach, referee, and color commentator. Even the chickens seem invested in your prospects. You try to escape outside for a moment of peace, but as soon as you step out, a neighbor leans over the fence. "Heard your family's looking to make a match. My niece has very strong arms for hauling firewood if you're interested." Before you can reply, the neighbor's dog barks as if to say, "Run while you still can." Back inside, the conversation shifts to logistics. Do we have enough bread for the Smiths if they visit? How much dowry can we realistically offer? You start to wonder if you're the main character in a sitcom written by medieval accountants. As you resign yourself to a day of public scrutiny and veiled negotiations, you look around and realize, in the medieval age, your dating life is less about butterflies in your stomach and more about cows in your dowry. The only thing more terrifying than medieval hygiene is medieval romance.
By now, you're starting to realize that in this medieval village, your life isn't just a family affair. It's practically a public broadcast. You can't even contemplate a private thought without a neighbor or distant cousin showing up, offering unsolicited advice or sharing the latest gossip. The line between home life and social life is as thin as the morning porridge and about as bland. Just as you manage to find a quiet corner by the fireplace, your great aunt, the one who smells faintly of onions and mysterious herbal salves, squeezes in next to you. She launches into an epic tale about her own wedding. Apparently, her dowry included 3 geese, a goat, and a highly prized wooden ladle. Those were the days, she sighs, when a good marriage meant sturdy shoes and plenty of firewood. You smile politely, secretly wishing you could trade places with one of the geese. Meanwhile, the rest of the household is in full strategic planning mode. Your father and uncle are hunched over the table sketching out the big picture on a stained scrap of parchment, potential marriage alliances, dowry calculations, and who owes whom a favor this year. Your mother and aunts are already critiquing every eligible bachelor and bachelorette in the village, rating them on the critical criteria of number of surviving livestock and likelihood of inheriting land. Suddenly, the family's matchmaking radar zeroes in on you. The room falls silent. Everyone stares expectantly. It's like being the last kid picked for kickball, except the consequences last a lifetime.
Do you have any preferences? Your father asks, as if you might announce a celebrity crush or recite a carefully curated checklist. But here, preference means something closer to, would you rather spend your life milking cows or churning butter? You glance at the candidates your family has in mind. There's the neighbor's eldest, who reportedly can lift a barrel of ale with one hand and drinks it just as fast. There's the baker's cousin, who is famed for her bread, and less favorably, her absolute inability to stop talking about bread. And then there's the miller's son, whose only notable talent seems to be sleeping through Sunday Mass. You're tempted to blurt out, "Actually, I was hoping for someone who reads books and enjoys quiet walks by the river." But you catch yourself. In this world, personal desires are a luxury even the local baron can't afford. The family nods, as if your silence is proof of wisdom and maturity. The fire crackles, the cat yawns, someone passes you another hunk of bread. In that moment, you understand, here, love isn't a feeling you chase. It's a duty you inherit, like an old blanket or an ornery goat. Romance, as you knew it, has left the village, probably with the last traveling minstrel. Still, you can't help but wonder, is there any hope for a real connection? Or are you just another piece on your family's chessboard? For now, you resign yourself to playing along, while secretly planning to check the back of the pantry for a hidden time machine. As the day stretches on, the lines between family meeting and public spectacle completely disappear. You've lost track of how many times you've had your cheeks pinched, your hair ruffled, and your marriage prospects scrutinized as if you're livestock up for auction at the county fair. The cottage is packed with so many relatives, you begin to wonder if the entire population of the village has suddenly discovered a previously unknown connection to your family tree. There's no escape. Every time you retreat to a quiet corner with your stale bread, another neighbor or family friend shows up. One by one, they parade past, each with a story to tell, a rumor to spread, and a not-so-subtle suggestion for your romantic future. "Did you hear that the blacksmith's daughter spins the finest wool?" one whispers. "The miller's boy has a new pair of boots this year, and you know what that means," another chimes in, with a wink so exaggerated you wonder if it might be some sort of medieval medical emergency. As afternoon sunlight slants across the crooked beans, the matchmaking negotiations reach fever pitch. The menfolk argue over dowry numbers and land boundaries, voices growing so loud you're sure they could be heard all the way to the next village. The women discuss the merits of various suitors, rating them on a secret scale that seems to balance teeth, temper, and turnip yield. Children dart in and out, giggling and singing rhymes about the one who milks the most cows, while the family goat, sensing opportunity, tries to eat the hem of your tunic. Just when you think things couldn't get more overwhelming, the entire room falls silent as an important guest arrives, the local priest, dignified in his worn robes, clutching a battered Bible. All at once, everyone stands up a little straighter, the youngest children scuttle under the table, and your uncle attempts to discreetly wipe crumbs off his beard. The priest's arrival means business, literally and spiritually. He launches into a lecture about the sacred duties of marriage, the importance of upholding family honor, and the many dangers of letting one's heart stray outside the bounds of parental wisdom. He reminds everyone that the church keeps meticulous records of marriages, dowries, and, most terrifying of all, scandal. As his sermon builds, you realize that love here isn't just a personal matter, but a matter of law, religion, and social stability. It's enough to make you wish you'd paid more attention during Sunday school. After the priest's pep talk, negotiations resume, now with extra guilt and moral gravity. Your parents' faces alternate between hope, anxiety, and the peculiar smile people get when they think they're securing a bargain at a yard sale. You try to fade into the background, but every so often a pair of relatives will drag you into the center of the room to ask, "Well, what do you think?" only to ignore your answer in favor of more intense discussion. As evening settles, lanterns are lit, shadows lengthen, and the smell of stew fills the air. You'd think all this energy would go towards relaxation, but no. The business of your future must be settled before bedtime. The aunts bring out their special cakes, which you suspect are less for celebration and more for bribing the priest or sweetening the dowry deal. A cousin attempts to teach you a complicated folk dance because your future spouse will expect you to know the steps. You try to keep up, but your feet keep tripping over your own tunic and the family goat, who has somehow become more enthusiastic about matchmaking than anyone else. Somewhere outside, you hear the sound of a distant lute, maybe the wandering minstrel you've dreamed of running away with. You imagine, for just a moment, slipping out the back door and vanishing into the night, free from negotiations, expectations, and the pressure to marry someone based on their turnip crop yield. But reality snaps back as your mother claps her hands, calling everyone to attention. The time has come to make a decision. The room grows quiet, the priest expectant, the goat munching loudly, and you realize that in this world, your fate is not just yours to decide. It belongs to your family, your community, and the centuries of tradition woven into every corner of this little cottage. Still, as you glance around at the eager faces, the chaos, and the warmth, you can't help but feel a strange affection for these people, even as you silently plot your escape, or, at the very least, pray for a power outage to end the negotiations. And so, as the fire burns low and the stars appear over the thatched roof, you brace yourself for whatever comes next. In the Middle Ages, your love life is never private, rarely peaceful, and always entirely out of your hands.
The hour of decision looms like a medieval thundercloud. Your mother's clap still echoes in the room as every head turns toward you. Dozens of relatives, the solemn priest, your anxious parents, the cousin trying and failing to juggle bread rolls, and, naturally, the goat, now sitting regally atop a bundle of firewood as if ready to approve or veto any match. A hush settles over the cottage, only broken by the sound of the stew bubbling and the faint bleating of the goat. You can almost hear the collective inhale of a family about to hand down a verdict that could echo for generations. In that moment, you're struck by a realization, one that every young person in every century has likely felt. Your entire life seems to hang in the balance over something that feels both deeply personal and strangely bureaucratic. One of your uncles clears his throat and reads from a list of eligible candidates, written in what must be the world's worst penmanship. Each name is followed by a description that sounds more like a sales pitch than a dating profile. Agnes, daughter of the miller, strong arms, bakes a mean rye loaf, only fainted twice during last year's harvest. Thomas, Smith's eldest, owns half an ox, rumored to have all his teeth, excellent at mending cart wheels. Beatrice, baker's cousin, laughs at even the worst jokes, excellent dowry, includes 2 geese and a silver spoon. Edgar, shepherd, gentle, talks to sheep, a bit too fond of cider, but his flock is legendary. Each bio is received by a chorus of sighs, nods, and the occasional snort of disapproval. Your great aunt, ever the romantic, whispers, "You know, love can grow even in the stoniest soil," before launching into an awkward tale about how she met your great uncle at a barn raising gone horribly wrong. The priest, sensing your hesitation, offers a gentle homily on duty, sacrifice, and the sanctity of tradition. He intones, "Marriage is not merely the union of 2 souls, but the joining of families, fortunes, and, for better or worse, turnip fields." His words are meant to inspire, but you can't help but feel the weight of all those turnips pressing down on your spirit. Your parents, faces alight with a mix of hope and anxiety, ask if you have a preference. You realize there are really only 3 paths. Accept your fate, nod politely, smile, and agree to marry whomever they think best. Life will be predictable, safe, and probably involve a lot of sheep.
fight for your heart, insist on choosing your own match, or perhaps your secret crush from the market. This may lead to drama, scandal, or being shipped off to work in a distant field for a year, but hey, at least you tried. Play the long game. Suggest a delay. Claim a sudden urge to find yourself in the next village, or distract everyone with an impromptu song and dance. With luck, the whole process might be put off until the next harvest. Whatever you choose, it's clear that this moment is about much more than you. It's about tradition, honor, property lines, livestock, and family pride, all mashed together in a stew thicker than anything grandma's ever cooked. As the lantern light flickers, you catch your reflection in the soup pot and wonder, is it really possible to find love in a world where your life is mapped out like a field of cabbages? Maybe, or maybe you'll just become really, really good at churning butter and dodging questions about your future. Still, as the decision time arrives, you feel something unexpected, a tiny spark of agency. Sure, your choices are limited, your options highly curated by committee, and the goat may have more say than you do, but at least for this one moment, everyone is waiting on your word. You take a breath, the room waits, your story, as medieval as it may be, isn't quite finished yet.
As the last echoes of nervous laughter and shuffling feet die down, you realize something extraordinary. This long, chaotic, and at times completely overwhelming council of marriage has not just been about you. It's about everyone. Your parents, your relatives, your neighbors, and yes, even the family goat, who now appears to be napping contentedly after a full day of matchmaking excitement. You look around at the flushed faces, flower-dusted aprons, and candlelit shadows dancing across the cottage walls. There's a warmth here, even beneath all the pressure and expectation. In some odd way, you feel cared for, maybe even loved, just not in the way you imagined when you first woke up, hoping for a swipe-right fairy tale. Suddenly, your father pulls you aside and with a rare gentleness says, "Whatever you decide, we want you to be happy." Well, and maybe bring home a cow or two. Your mother smooths your hair, a smile tugging at the corner of her mouth. Your great aunt hands you a wooden spoon, her secret family love charm, and winks, "For luck, dear, you'll need it." You realize that, for better or worse, you're not alone. Your life isn't just your own in the Middle Ages. It's a patchwork quilt sewn from the hands and hopes of everyone you know. But even so, as you step outside into the cool night air, under a sky crowded with stars that haven't changed in centuries, a strange hope stirs in you. Maybe, just maybe, you'll find a way to shape your own story, even here, where tradition and community rule every waking moment. A shooting star streaks overhead. You whisper a wish, half joking, half serious, for true love, or at least for a little bit of say in your own fate. In the end, you realize that while the world has changed so much since the Middle Ages, while we now have dating apps, video calls, and the luxury of choosing who or if to marry, some things stay the same. We all want connection. We all want to be seen, to be chosen, to belong. Maybe that's the real magic, whether your story unfolds under candlelight or smartphone glow. And so, your first day as a medieval singleton comes to an end. The cottage quiets, the goat snores, and you, for all your doubts, feel a little less lost and a little more ready for whatever comes next.
The sun rises over the thatched rooftops, gilding the village in a soft golden haze. You wake, still half dreaming, the echoes of last night's matchmaking summit swirling in your mind. It's a new day, but the stakes feel higher. All the small decisions, what you wear, where you walk, how long you linger at the well, seem to matter in ways you'd never considered before. This is medieval romance. Every move a calculated risk, every glance a secret message. You slip into your linen tunic, Tie your slightly crooked headscarf and step outside, hoping the cool air will clear your thoughts. The village is already alive. Chickens scatter as children chase them between houses. Far off, someone shouts about a missing pig. The baker's wife waves, balancing a basket of loaves on her hip. Her sharp eyes follow you for a second too long, as if she already suspects you might be up to something. You set off down the lane, making your way to the market square, a patch of earth churned to mud by 100 passing boots. This is the medieval social network, the original Facebook feed. Here, every greeting, every exchange is watched, and, more importantly, remembered. Reputation is currency. Your parents' whispered warnings echo in your ears. Don't draw attention. Don't get caught looking. But curiosity is stronger than caution. You pretend to study a basket of turnips with scholarly interest, while your eyes drift sideways, scanning the crowd for a face you'd barely dared notice yesterday. And then, just as the church bell tolls, you see them. They're standing at a market stall, chatting with a friend, their laugh tumbling through the morning like water over stones. Sunlight catches in their hair. They look up, and for a heartbeat, your gazes lock. You feel your cheeks flush and your heart hammer in your chest. There is a moment of absolute stillness, as if even the goats have stopped chewing. Here in the Middle Ages, love at first sight is both a miracle and a problem. You try to look away. After all, staring is the medieval equivalent of updating your status to "it's complicated" for the entire village to see. But your curiosity wins out, and you sneak another glance. Their friend leans in, whispers something. Are they talking about you? You fumble with a potato, almost drop it, and curse under your breath. The stallkeeper raises an eyebrow, as if to say, "Careful, love is messier than mud after the rain." You rack your brain for what to do next. In modern times, you'd send a text or maybe a meme. Here, your tools are limited. Maybe you can accidentally drop your handkerchief near them, or swap places in line for bread and hope for a whispered word. You recall all the ancient whispered tricks. Fold a flower into your sleeve as a sign of affection. Wear your scarf a certain way. Left side for "I'm interested." Right side for "my parents are watching." Offer an apple. In this world, a piece of fruit can mean everything or nothing at all. The village market swirls around you, a riot of color and noise. Pigs rooting under stalls, children singing skipping songs, merchants haggling, gossips trading rumors about who was seen walking with whom after last Sunday's Mass. The village goat, never missing a chance to create chaos, chooses this moment to parade through the market, scattering chickens, bumping into a basket of eggs, and drawing all eyes for a precious minute. You seize the chance, step a little closer, heart thudding, eyes wide. Your crush glances your way, their lips quirking in a half smile. Is it encouragement, or just the medieval version of, "Sorry, I'm actually taken by the potter's apprentice"? It hits you that even in this world, some things are universal. The nervous energy of a new crush, the flutter in your chest, the uncertainty about what any of it means. But here, every move is shadowed by risk. A misstep could mean not just embarrassment, but real consequences. A scolding, a rumor, an unwanted proposal, or worse, a lecture from your mother in front of half the village. Still, hope wins out. Maybe, just maybe, there's a secret way to signal your feelings. An old code passed down through generations of young people dreaming of something more than what their family planned. As the market swirls on and the goat munches a cabbage in victory, you stand on the edge of possibility, ready to take your first step into the complicated, coded world of medieval flirting. Because sometimes, even in the 13th century, the heart wants what the heart wants, and is willing to risk a little chaos to get it.
You're ready to take a risk. The weight of centuries of tradition presses down, but so does curiosity and a little stubbornness. This isn't just about you and a secret crush. It's about outwitting a whole village network evolved to spot the faintest whiff of teenage rebellion. You edge closer through the crowd, your mind racing with potential outcomes. Best case, a private smile, maybe a secret meeting at the next festival. Worst case, your mom, your crush's mom, the entire baking guild, and every goose within a mile learning that you acted improperly before you even get home. The air is thick with smells, fresh bread, trampled grass, sweaty livestock, a hint of anxiety. The marketplace, for all its noise, suddenly feels silent except for your own heartbeat and the twin glares of the village's legendary gossips, the bread stall grandmothers. They communicate in glances, subtle as a war horn, their faces sharp and unreadable as the family silver. You roll the apple off the table, heart pounding as it thuds softly against your crush's foot. 1,000 years of courtly love condensed into one awkward fruit. Your crush stoops, picks it up, and turns it in her hand, inspecting it as if it might be enchanted or poisoned, who knows. There's a flash of a smile, shy, knowing, maybe even impressed. In another world, this would be the meet-cute of a rom-com. Here, it's a bold declaration, with witnesses. The crowd moves and shifts, but you feel watched from every angle. The friend chaperone, built like a tree trunk and about as talkative, leans in and whispers. Your crush's ears go red. You'd give anything for the anonymity of a big city or a time machine. A group of children circle you, chanting an improvised rhyme. Apples rolling on the ground. Who's the sweetheart you have found? You'd laugh if you weren't desperately trying not to drop dead on the spot. Even the local goat pauses in its mischief to eye you as if weighing the dramatic potential of the moment. You accept the apple back, fingertips brushing. The electricity of that touch crackles up your arm, making you forget, just for a second, that anyone else exists. You share a conspiratorial glance. There's a language here, one older than words, built from gestures, glances, the courage to act when everyone's watching. But time is a tyrant. The town bell clangs, its clang the soundtrack to 1,000,000 broken teenage dreams. The market dissolves as if a spell has been broken. Stall holders packing up, livestock herded away, parents calling for their children. The two grandmothers finally depart, their mission of surveillance complete. The chaperone hustles your crush away, giving you one last warning look. Careful. You tuck the apple into your tunic, its shape a reassuring, if slightly sticky, reminder that not all hope is lost. On the walk home, your mind replays every microsecond. The roll of the apple, the spark of the smile, the whispered warnings, the song of the children, the brush of fingers. You imagine what could come next. A chance meeting at the well, a secret note folded into a loaf of bread, a message tucked under a stone on the path behind the mill. Every step feels electric. Your world has changed, just a little, but enough to set your heart racing. And you realize, in the Middle Ages, sometimes the greatest acts of rebellion are small and sweet. A rolled apple, a shared smile, a secret dream. You cross the threshold into your cottage, met with the suspicious gaze of your mother and the faint, satisfied bleating of the family goat. You try to keep your grin to yourself, but even the cat seems to notice. Tonight, as the fire crackles and the family recounts the day's gossip, you sit quietly, holding the apple in your hands, already hoping for tomorrow's market and another chance at a little medieval magic. That night, you lie awake on your crunchy straw bed, staring at the smoke-stained beams overhead. The house is quiet, except for the familiar chorus of snoring, the occasional mutter from your grandmother, and the muffled protest of a chicken that's somehow gotten under the blanket again. In your hand, you still clutch the apple, the world's most ordinary fruit, suddenly transformed into a symbol of hope, risk, and, let's be honest, a bit of adolescent adrenaline. You replay the market scene in your mind, dissecting every glance, every gesture, every accidental touch. Was that a real smile or just the sun in your eyes? Did anyone else notice? Did the grandmothers already report to your mother? You're nervous, but also, finally, excited. For the first time since you woke up in this medieval world, you feel like something is happening to you, not just around you. But hope is a fragile thing in the Middle Ages. As dawn creeps over the village, you're greeted by your mother, who gives you a look that is both suspicious and knowing. "Sleep well?" she asks. You mumble something non-committal, clutching the apple a little tighter under your blanket. The day unfolds with chores, feeding the chickens, hauling water from the well, mending a torn tunic, chopping wood with your father, who offers no-nonsense wisdom about keeping your mind on your work, not in the clouds. All the while, you're constantly looking for an excuse to wander into the village again, maybe cross paths with your crush at the well, or catch a glimpse across a busy street. Every small chance feels precious, even if it's just a brief exchange of glances. But of course, the village rumor mill never sleeps. By midday, your aunt is at the door with a loaf of bread and a twinkle in her eye. "I hear you made quite the impression at market," she says, nudging you in the ribs. You play dumb, but she's already deep into her theory. Maybe it's time you start thinking about what you want in a spouse. Not every day someone hands you an apple at market. You try to protest, but her voice only gets louder until your mother joins in, debating the merits of this possible match and what the proper next steps are. Whether to send a subtle message to the other family or just keep watching and waiting. It's both mortifying and oddly reassuring. Everyone's involved, everyone's invested, and even your own small act of rebellion is now the hottest topic in town. You realize the odds are stacked against you. Privacy? Non-existent. Subtlety? Almost impossible. Parental intervention? Guaranteed. But you also feel, for the first time, the thrill of possibility. That with just a bit more boldness, a little luck, and maybe some clever timing, you might be able to turn this medieval matchmaking machine to your own advantage. As you pass the well that evening, you spot a folded scrap of cloth tucked beneath a loose stone, the unmistakable sign of a secret message, the oldest trick in the book. Your heart leaps. Maybe you're not the only one dreaming of more. The sun sets over the thatched roofs, and as you slip the note into your sleeve, you realize the game of love here isn't just about courage. It's about patience, creativity, and the quiet hope that even in a world run by parents and priests, a little bit of your story can still be your own. That night, after the world has gone still and only the embers in the hearth glow faintly, you lie awake, clutching the secret note in sweaty palms under your blanket. You read and reread the slanted, hesitant handwriting by the guttering stub of a candle, barely daring to believe this is happening to you. Meet at the old willow by the river at sunset. Tell no one. Bring the apple. The simplicity of the words belies the storm in your chest. In this village, even a rumor is dangerous. An actual secret? That's practically magic. You hide the note deep in your tunic and rehearse your excuses for tomorrow. Every lie is carefully crafted. I'm fetching firewood. I need to gather wild mint for the stew. The fishing nets need checking.
You even try them out on your pillow, just to be sure you sound natural. Your little brother rolls over in his sleep and mutters about goats. You smile. At least someone's not stressed about romance. All the next day, you find it nearly impossible to concentrate. You chop the kindling unevenly, nearly drop the water bucket down the well, and get scolded for letting the chickens escape again. Your mother eyes you suspiciously, as if she can see your thoughts written across your forehead. You keep your head down, focus on the tasks, and count the hours until sunset. By late afternoon, the tension is unbearable. Every villager seems to be watching. The baker's wife just happens to be sweeping her front step for the 5th time. A pair of cousins race past you, one yelling, "Don't go near the willow tree, it's haunted!" You force a smile, acting like you've never heard of the place. When the sun finally dips toward the horizon, you slip out, apple concealed in your tunic, heart pounding so loud you're sure it could alert the whole village. As you head down the path, you're joined by the world's nosiest chicken, who follows you at a determined waddle. You pass the old mill, nod to the smith sharpening his tools, and ignore the pointed stares of a grandmother in the garden. The willow stands tall and a little wild, its long branches draping to the earth. There, beneath the tangled green, your crush is already waiting. Their hands fidget, eyes scan the path behind you, but when they see you, when you see them, there's a sense of relief, of finally, it's just us. For a moment, the nerves nearly undo you both. You fumble with the apple, they giggle, taking it gently, holding it up in the golden light. "I didn't know if you'd actually come," they say, voice hushed, full of hope and fear. You grin. "You kidding? I've faced grandmothers, aunts, and even the goat today. Nothing could stop me." You both laugh, half from nerves, half from genuine joy. There's a bird screech in the branches above, as if the willow itself is teasing you for being so obvious. The conversation is slow at first, awkward like new shoes. You talk about anything safe, which bread in the village is actually edible, the way your cousin snores loud enough to scare crows, that time you saw a traveling juggler and wished you could just leave, see the world, be someone else for a day. Gradually, you dare to be bolder. "Ever want to see the big city?" "All the time," they admit, voiced wistful. "But sometimes I just want to walk past the bakery without being asked when I'll get married." You both laugh again, sharing an understanding only two young people under the watchful eyes of a whole village can know. Time melts away. The light under the willow turns from gold to amber to twilight blue. You ask each other questions you'd never dare in daylight. Do you actually like working in the fields? If you could change one thing about this place, what would it be? The answers are honest, sometimes sad, often hopeful. You pass the apple back and forth as you talk, neither wanting to take it home, as if it's too much evidence. You consider burying it at the foot of the willow, but decide instead to leave a tiny mark, carving your initials just barely into the skin as a reminder that something real happened here. Every sound make your hearts jump. A dog barking, a cart rolling in the distance, the faintest laugh carried on the wind. You duck closer together, whispering now, not for fear, but for intimacy, sharing thoughts you've never put into words. You both know you can't stay long. The village isn't big. If you're both gone too long, someone will come looking. But for these few precious moments, you are free, more yourself than you ever have been. Before you part, your crush squeezes your hand, their palm warm and trembling. "Let's be clever," they whisper, "and patient, and maybe next time, bring 2 apples." As you walk back toward the village, the sky now deep blue and dotted with stars, you feel braver. You survived a day of secrecy, took a risk, and found something true, however brief. The chicken waddles faithfully behind you, as if it too approves of your tiny revolution. At home, you sneak back into your bed, still glowing with adrenaline. The world of the Middle Ages is small, strict, and always watching. But tonight,
You made it just a little bit bigger, a little bit yours. And as you drift into sleep, you dream not of chores or gossip or matchmaking, but of possibility. The hope that even in the tightest web of tradition, there's always room for one more secret, one more smile, one more apple passed beneath the willow at sunset.
The morning after your secret meeting under the willow, the whole world seems brighter. Even the mud in the village lane looks less like an obstacle and more like an adventure. You catch yourself humming as you fetch water from the well, and when your mother asks why you're smiling, you mutter something about a funny dream involving talking goats and runaway apples. But soon, reality snaps back. The rumor mill is already grinding. At the bakery, a neighbor raises an eyebrow. "Late for chores, were you? Saw you near the river yesterday." Your face goes hot. You fumble a response, suddenly hyper-aware that even the smallest misstep can have consequences. Here, secrets are as slippery as eels in a barrel, impossible to catch for long. You sense the shift in atmosphere everywhere. Whispers between aunts at the well, sidelong glances from older cousins, even a passing goat that seems to look at you with knowing judgment. The village grapevine works overtime, and every new rumor is a knot in your stomach. Still, you're determined. At home, you try to play it cool, but your mother seems to watch you more closely than usual. She lingers at your side, asking probing questions about your plans for the next festival, or if you've noticed how responsible the baker's apprentice has become. You dodge, weave, and improvise, but you know it's only a matter of time before someone connects the dots. Then, just when you think you've gotten away with it, your great aunt corners you by the fire. She lowers her voice to a conspiratorial whisper. "Don't think I don't know what you're up to, dear. I've seen more secret meetings than you've had bowls of porridge. Just remember, love is one thing, but timing is everything. If you're clever, you might just get what you want and avoid the worst trouble." She winks, slips you a sweet bun, and disappears before you can reply. For a moment, you're not sure if she's warning you or cheering you on. Encouraged, you become bolder. The next time you pass your crush in the market, you both manage a quick shared grin, almost invisible to everyone else, but blazing with meaning to you. Each brief interaction, each risk, feels like a tiny act of rebellion in a world ruled by tradition. But there are setbacks too. One day, you hear that another family is considering a match for your crush. Your stomach drops. In this village, a decision can be made in a single conversation. No time for grand gestures or dramatic declarations. You realize you have to act. Whether it's a new secret note, a coded word at the well, or maybe, if you dare, a late-night rendezvous during the upcoming festival. You understand now that medieval romance is less about epic declarations and more about surviving, hiding in plain sight, outsmarting the grapevine, and making the most of every small window of freedom. As the day ends, you tuck yourself into bed, clutching your carved apple and a heart full of anxiety and hope. Maybe tomorrow will bring another chance, a new sign, another secret, one more reason to risk it all. In the Middle Ages, love is a game of patience, courage, and timing, and for once, you feel ready to play. Festival day breaks with a sky the color of new linen, bright, hopeful, and full of promise. The whole village stirs with anticipation. Flags and ribbons are strung between houses. The baker is up before dawn churning out pies, and musicians tune battered instruments in the town square. For you, it's a day heavy with meaning. The festival isn't just a party, it's a social chessboard where alliances are formed, rumors are born, and futures are quietly mapped out behind every laughter and glance. You dress with extra care, fussing over your hair, choosing your least wrinkled tunic, wondering if your crush will notice, and hoping your mother won't. Breakfast is a blur of excitement and warnings. Don't wander off. Remember, the Miller family will be watching. No more secret apples, do you hear me? You nod dutifully, already plotting escape routes and secret signals. The village square pulses with life. Vendors shout their wares. Children chase each other in wild games. Dogs bark, and everywhere is the smell of roasting meat and fresh bread. Your heart thuds with anticipation as you search the crowd for one face. You spot your crush by the pie stand, surrounded by friends and a chaperone, cousin, sibling, or the world's most suspicious aunt. Your eyes meet, just for a second, and that's all it takes. A flicker of recognition, a half smile, the promise of more. You become expert at weaving through crowds, dodging parents, giving chaperones the slip for precious, fleeting moments. Every chance encounter is rehearsed. A touch on the wrist as you both reach for a festival ribbon. A coded comment about the best willow shade as you pass by. A glance traded behind a swirl of dancers or as a band of minstrels launches into a noisy tune. At the sack race, you and your crush somehow end up as partners. Your hands brush. You both laugh at your clumsy attempts, and even the adults can't help but smile at how cute they are together. For once, being the subject of attention doesn't sting. It feels almost like protection. A little window of freedom carved from chaos. But the rules of the game never really let up. Parents circle, friends tease, elders watch with the weight of generations in their gaze. At lunch, you sit with your family, sneaking glances across the field. Each time your crush meets your eyes, bold now, daring you to risk just a little more. As dusk falls, the festival shifts into a new phase. Torches flare, musicians play faster, young people gather around the edges of the square. A wildflower is pressed into your palm, your crush's quick, clever hand doing the work of a dozen love poems. Your heart soars. You steal away behind the old chapel, your pulse racing. Here, in the shadow of stone and flame, you find a rare moment truly alone. You talk in low voices, sharing hopes, worries, and impossible dreams. Maybe someday you'll see the city, travel beyond the village. Maybe you'll be brave enough to change your fate. Your crush confesses their own fears, the pressure to be the good child, the endless matchmaking, the longing for a life they can choose. You both know this can't last. Soon someone will notice you're gone. But for this brief spell, you let yourselves imagine a world that's bigger, brighter, and more open than anything the village can offer. You part with a squeeze of the hand and a soft smile. Yours a promise, theirs a secret. You tuck the wildflower and the carved apple safely away, evidence of something real in a world built on custom. Back at home, as you drift into exhausted, happy sleep, your family's voices echo, "Did you see them dancing? So grown up already. I heard they got the winning ribbon at the sack race. I wonder which family they'll match with next festival." But you know the truth. Your story is only just beginning. It's written in wildflowers, carved apples, sidelong glances, and all the spaces in between. You fall asleep with hope humming under your skin. Because even in the Middle Ages, love is an act of courage. And sometimes, just sometimes, courage wins.
The days after the festival settle into a tense golden lull. The air still hums with the echo of drums, the laughter of dancers, and the wild possibility of a world just a little wider than before. But beneath the surface, the machinery of tradition is whirring. The rumors, once playful, now carry a sharper edge. Whispers grow more pointed. Who did you dance with? Who lingered with whom in the shadows behind the chapel? Who left the festival with a wildflower in their sleeve? Eyes narrow, voices lower, and the village grapevine,
fed by pride and jealousy, works overtime. You sense the change immediately. Chores multiply, as if hard work will distract you from dangerous ideas. Parents speak in code, elders watch you with knowing caution, and the invitations to help out at neighbors' farms are suddenly suspiciously timed, especially if the neighbor happens to have an eligible child. At first, you try to play along, hoping your secret survives the tightening net. You keep your head down, answer politely, and channel your rebellion into small things, a skipped chore here, a snuck glance there. But it's clear the adults are circling, hoping to force your hand, or at least catch you in a misstep. And then, inevitably, comes the confrontation. One evening, as dusk paints the cottage in shades of honey and smoke, your parents call you to the fireside. Their faces are serious, soft with concern, but edged with determination. The talk is gentle but relentless, circling back again and again to the same point. It's time to think about your future. There are families making offers, good, solid matches. We only want what's best for you, but we can't wait forever. You feel the walls close in, the pressure of expectation, the subtle threat that your choices aren't really yours at all. For the first time, your secret feels less like a game and more like a fault line running beneath your life. You want to shout that you're not ready, that you have your own dreams, that you want to choose, not just obey. But the words catching your throat. How do you explain a love that's just begun, a hope so fragile it barely survives the sunlight? How do you make your parents, your whole world, see that their future and yours might not be the same? As the fire crackles and the night deepens, you make a choice. Will you submit, letting tradition write your story? Or will you risk it all? Reputation, comfort, maybe even family, for a shot at something real, something yours. For the first time, you realize surviving medieval romance isn't just about apples and wildflowers. It's about courage, sacrifice, and the price you're willing to pay for your own heart.
You sit by the fireside, knees drawn up, watching the flames dance over blackened logs. The shadows on the wall seem to grow larger, more menacing with every passing moment. The air in the cottage is thick, spiced with the smell of stew and the unspoken tension of expectations unfulfilled. Your parents' voices fade in and out, gentle but persistent. They don't yell, don't threaten. Instead, they repeat the same tired refrains with heartbreaking sincerity. Think of your future. We only want what's best for you. Life is hard. Love will come later. Security must come first. You nod and smile at the right moments, offering non-answers and nervous shrugs. But inside, you're swirling with a cocktail of resentment and guilt, hope and fear. Part of you aches to shout, to demand the right to choose, to throw open the door and run to your crush, wild and reckless and free. Another part of you, smaller but still present, wonders if your parents are right. What if comfort is enough? What if, in this world, wanting more is just another path to disappointment? You excuse yourself as soon as you can, claiming you need to check the goats or bring in more wood. Outside, the air is cold and sharp, stinging your cheeks, but at least it's yours. You kick at a stone, stare up at the stars, and imagine what life could be like somewhere else. You remember the secret moments with your crush, the apple under the willow, the wildflower at the festival, the trembling hope in their eyes. Those memories burn brighter than the fire inside, but they're small flames in a dark, vast world. The next days are a whirlwind of schemes and setbacks. Your parents organize coincidental meetings, sudden invitations to supper at the baker's house,
urgent requests to help at the mill when the owner's son just happens to be there, group chores at the common field with every eligible girl in the district. Your friends tease you mercilessly. Their jokes are a constant reminder that your business is never private. Your crush is harder to reach, always under watchful eyes. The briefest wave or glance now feels dangerous. And then, one afternoon, the stakes are raised. Your parents receive a formal visit from a respected family in the village. The discussion is polite, almost coldly transactional. How much land does your family have? What dowry can you provide? Would you consider a spring wedding? You sit quietly, a piece of bread going stale in your hand, listening as your fate is negotiated in front of you like a sheep at market. They all smile, saying, "This is a good match, a good alliance." Your parents glance at you, hopeful and anxious, desperate for a sign that you agree. Your heart pounds with a sick, sinking dread. You search their faces for understanding, but see only the weight of generations, survival, legacy, fear. They love you. You love them. But you want more. You want the right to try, to fail, to chase the impossible. That night, you sneak out to the willow, needing air, needing clarity. The sky is wild with stars, cold and unreachable. The river gurgles over stones, eternal and indifferent. You cry, quietly, angrily, hopefully, frustration spilling out into the darkness. You wish your crush was there to share the moment, but sometimes battles have to be fought alone. You make a plan. Maybe you can speak with your crush, arrange a meeting, ask their family to stall, or find some trusted adult willing to run interference. Maybe, just maybe, you can convince your parents to wait one more season, one more festival. Maybe you can be clever enough, brave enough, stubborn enough to claim your story. The next day you find your crush near the edge of the fields, both of you pretending to gather herbs. Their eyes widen when they see you, relief and worry etched into every line of their face. "Have you heard?" they whisper, voice trembling. "My family. They're talking too. There's talk of a match, and not with you." You nod, fighting tears. "We have to do something," you say, desperate. "But what? I can't just say no. Not alone." You hatch a plan together, secret letters, code phrases, using friends as messengers, maybe even staging a small disaster. Didn't the chickens get out last week? Each idea is riskier than the last, but neither of you is willing to give up. As you part, your hands linger. For a moment, the world shrinks to just the two of you, defiant, trembling, together in uncertainty and hope. Whatever comes next, you know this much. You're not alone anymore. As the sun sets, you walk back towards the village, head held high. Because in this world, sometimes the boldest act isn't running away. It's daring to stay, to fight, to insist on a voice in your own story, no matter how small. The price of choice is steep, but for the first time, you think you're willing to pay it. The next days pass in a blur of tension and secret plotting. The rhythm of village life, chores, meals, prayers, festivals, beats on, but now every hour carries the urgency of a ticking clock. Your world feels simultaneously huge and claustrophobic. Every footstep could be overheard, every note intercepted, every whisper carried straight to the wrong ears. Together, you and your crush create a secret language. You tuck scraps of parchment into hollow fence posts, use old folk songs as code, and enlist the bravest, nosiest children as unwitting messengers. Your friendship circle becomes an underground network. Half the fun is seeing how far you can push the boundaries without being caught. Yet the pressure mounts. At home, your parents grow more anxious, and the family that visited to propose a match returns, this time with gifts, jars of honey, bolts of cloth, even a promise to help your family with the harvest. The implication is clear. They want an answer soon. Your parents are torn. Practicality says yes, but love for you breeds hesitation. You see their struggle, their fear of ruining your chances, and you ache to reassure them, even as you steel yourself to resist. One evening, after a particularly tense supper, your father quietly sits beside you at the threshold. His voice is low and full of memories, of his own arranged marriage, of the sacrifices he and his mother made, of his hope that you might find more happiness than he did. "There is safety in tradition," he murmurs, "but safety is not the same as joy. If your heart is set, I won't stand in your way. But be wise, be careful. The world is hard on those who stray too far." You're stunned, relieved, grateful, scared all over again. Because with your father's blessing, however hesitant, you have both permission and responsibility. What you do now is truly your own. With renewed courage, you and your crush meet at the Willow once more. No longer just for stolen kisses or whispered hopes, but for real decisions. You talk honestly, for the first time, about the future. Would you be willing to wait another year, risking that your families give in to pressure? Could you run away, start anew in a distant town, and survive somehow on your wits and love alone? Might you negotiate openly, bring both families together, demand a chance to court properly, and prove yourselves worthy of a match, even if tradition says otherwise? Each option is terrifying. Each carries risk, scandal, hardship, heartbreak, even exile. But for the first time, you feel equal to the challenge. You decide to fight, not flee. Together, you write letters to both families, honest, respectful, bold. You tell the truth, that you care for each other, that you want the chance to choose. You ask for one festival season, just one, to prove that your bond is real and worthy of their blessing. The next days are a blur of anticipation and anxiety. At first, the adults react with outrage and fear. This is not how things are done. What will the village think? Have you lost your mind? But as the dust settles, a new conversation emerges. Your parents, seeing your determination and honesty, begin to soften. Some elders remember their own youthful wishes. Others see in you a spirit they thought had died out long ago. The village gossips, sensing a good story, shift from condemnation to curiosity. Even the priest, who once thundered about duty, now offers a quieter, more compassionate counsel. Perhaps love, too, can be a form of faith. At last, your families agree, warily, reluctantly, to give you a chance. The coming festival will be your trial. If you can prove your character, your devotion, and your usefulness to the community, they will consider your request. It isn't victory, but it isn't defeat. It is, in the strict world of the Middle Ages, a miracle, as fragile and precious as spring's first blossom. As the festival approaches, you and your crush share a bittersweet joy. The world is still dangerous, still full of rules and eyes and consequences, but it is also wider than you once believed. You realize that real freedom was never about escaping the village or running away. It's about claiming your voice, standing in the light and insisting, gently but firmly, that your story matters too. And as you walk home through fields bathed in moonlight, your hand finding theirs in the darkness, you know that whatever comes next, joy or pain, triumph or loss, you will face it together. Because, in the end, growing up is less about breaking the rules and more about learning which rules are worth remaking and which are simply meant to be rewritten by hearts brave enough to try.
No matter which path your story takes, acceptance or heartbreak, bold escape or quiet endurance, life in the village moves forward, one sunrise after another. The festival banners are packed away, the gossip shifts to the next wedding, the goats still need milking and the fields still need tending. The routines and rituals of medieval life are as relentless as ever, weaving comfort and challenge in equal measure. But something is different. You're different. If you won your love, the world looks brighter. The faces in the crowd are softer, old feuds forgotten, and your daily work carries a secret joy. You and your chosen partner build your own patchwork of traditions. Maybe you teach each other new songs, plant your initials under the willow, pass secret notes to your children, or tell stories of how you almost lost each other. If you lost, your heart aches, but you find strength in the rhythm of days, laughter with friends, the scent of baking bread, the proud tilt of your chin when you do hard things. You discover that resilience is its own kind of love, and that hope returns, soft as moss, in places you least expect. If you ran, the road is never easy. There are days when you long for home, nights when you question your choices, but you and your companion build something new together. A life, a family, a place where the rules are your own. And in your letters home, you let your family know you're safe, that love is possible, even far from everything you knew. And if you stayed and waited, your legend grows. Young couples whisper about the patience of your heart, the stubbornness of your friendship. You become a kind of secret saint for every shy glance, every coded handkerchief, every brave, quiet love. And if you walked alone into a wider world, you find yourself at the crossroads again and again, sometimes afraid, sometimes lost, but always open to wonder. You carry every lesson, every bruise and blessing like seeds for tomorrow. Seasons turn, children grow. The willow tree, once your secret haven, now shelters others with hopes and fears as fierce as yours once were. Your story, whispered by firelight, is a reminder that love and choice are never easy, that tradition can be both a cage and a cradle, and that sometimes the bravest act is to hope anyway. And as another festival dawns, somewhere a young heart wonders, can I risk it? Can I survive this too? Because of you, the answer, maybe, just maybe, is yes.